Okay, this is a bit of a follow-up to a review that I will admit I should have put out much sooner. Simply because by the time I had already put it out, many of the things I talked about in it had become invalidated, or at least they have changed somewhat. So here goes nothing. You know, I sometimes wish that I don't have it in me to just freely give anything the benefit of the doubt. You ever heard of the saying, give somebody an inch and they'll take a mile? Yeah. That's what I kinda did for Powerpuff Girls 2016. No. I didn't kinda do it. I wholeheartedly, expressly, unironically gave it a chance. Look where we are now. I can forgive some of the choices that the people behind the show made. Not all of them, though. Replacing Kathy Cavadini, Tara Strong, and E.G. Daily doesn't bother me at all. I said it in my review, and I'm gonna say it again. And from what I've heard of the 3 new voice actresses so far, great things are waiting for them. One of them already has a pretty good head start in her career. It wants to be a comedy? By all means, it can be a comedy. It wants to go the self-deprecating route? Whatever. It wants to be its own thing? Sure. Okay. Let it be its own thing. They don't even bother to consult the guy who made the franchise in the first place? Okay, I'll let that slide. There's no sour grapes about this sort of stuff. It wants to get rid of one of the smartest people from the original? A massive loss, but... no, there's no but there. That was a really shitty move. Except for that last one, I can forgive all of this. If at least half a damn was put into the creation of this show in the first place. This show. My god. You ever seen the Nostalgia Critics review of that god-awful Cat in the Hat movie? Well, the critic makes this speech at the near end of the review. And nowhere else is that speech more appropriate than with the travesty we have in our hands. To be honest, I wasn't afraid about this reboot being full-on comedy. When you think about it, the original PPG was a comedy first, with action being a very close second. It's a superhero parody that just so happened to pull off full-fledged superhero incredibly well. I actually didn't know what exactly about this reboot I was afraid of, until I watched episode after episode after episode. That's when I found out what this show's biggest downfall was going to be. And it's probably different from what you have in mind. So anyway. The mediocre writing, the bland art style, with buttloads of errors might I add, the flanderized characters, replacing the original 3 voice actresses, the whole girl power vibe, that's all one thing. It's when desperation rears its ugly head that this mess becomes something else entirely. I want to ask you guys something. I want you to picture yourself in a certain scenario. Picture yourself as a parent. You're a mom or dad, seeing your little boy or little girl hanging out with their friends, getting into whatever kids are getting into lately. Would you try to be one of those generic-ass sitcom parents dressing up like complete fools, or coming off like complete fools, just so that you can win your kids' friends over? Would you do that? No, of course not. You wouldn't do that. I mean, yeah, you can get along just fine with your kid and their friends. And if you just so happen to be in the same things that they're into, hey, more power to you. But there's a difference between having similar interests and being forced as hell. You know, being contrived. I'm pretty sure that we all have an alarm that goes off inside our heads, warning us that what we're about to do, or what we're thinking of doing, is just so incomprehensibly stupid. That's our cue to think. When that alarm goes off, that's our cue to stop. I don't think that the people working on this show have that alarm in their heads. Or, it's there, and you know, it goes off, but they just figured, to hell with it. What harm will it do? Now I, for one, have no problem with every little bit of pop culture being crammed into any kind of popular media out there. I have nothing against transitioning a long-running franchise into the modern day. I can count several instances where this has been pulled off very well. Disney did it with their new Mickey Mouse cartoons. Marvel and DC, they pull it off too, with a lot of their long-running franchises. Hanna-Barbera did it with Scooby-Doo. There's another success right there. WWE... well, they're a bunch of creatively starved bastards, but you get my point. You want to stay relevant? Well, sure. You have to get in the know of what's going on right now. Okay, that's acceptable. I understand. But do it in a way that's actually clever. A way that actually enhances the experience. A way that gets a point across to your viewers watching at home. Now, to the people over there working on this reboot, just having your characters say a meme, and an outdated meme at that, it's not clever and it doesn't enhance the experience. If anything, it makes it come off as desperate. Speaking of desperate, who the hell thought that twerking Powerpuffs was a good idea? How in the holy blue hell would that possibly catch on? So, let me get this straight. You take out Miss Bella because she's basically a cartoon sex symbol. You tone down the violence, assuming that the original went overboard with it. And yeah, I probably agree with you there. But 8-year-old girls shaking their asses with a panda while under the influence of the cartoon equivalent of LSD, we can throw that in. And for good measure, let's throw in a blatant transgender caricature to spice things up a little bit. And this is where everything goes to hell. Literally. Dear Nick Jennings and Bob Boyle. Actually, no. It's not just you two. Dear Cartoon Network execs over at Burbank and Atlanta. How exactly do your brains operate? I want to know. How can you start off with no momentum, pick up steam a month before your show actually premieres, and lose that steam within a fucking week after premiering? It's not like the show was dead on arrival as many people claim it is. At least, I didn't believe it was. But now, it might just as well be. This isn't Teen Titans Go, where, even if it's the most retarded thing on the face of the planet, for the most part, it is harmless. No one's gonna end up in a wheelchair or a mental facility from the slightest mention of the show. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Google and search Horn Sweet Horn. But while you're at it, please do yourselves a favor and don't click any search result that'll take you to Tumblr. Of course, anyone with any ounce of common sense in them would do that, but as of now, that's not the kind of place you want to be in, with this shitstorm that's brewing. This is one of those cases where an episode of a television show is potentially destructive. The key word here is potentially, because I know that the creators had their hearts in the right place when they were making this particular episode. But they fuck up the message by virtue of some piss poor writing and piss poor storyboarding. And what we get out of this is a cluttered mess that is easily misconstrued. So, if I come across a tranny who's having an existential crisis, who can't decide for themselves if they want to be a man or a woman, I choose to help them by forcing them to undergo a bodily transformation that pretty much turns them into a freak of nature to the public eye. Well, an even bigger freak of nature, that is. And this kind of nonsensical bullshit can easily be fixed with the power of friendship and just being yourself. Not any kind of corrective surgery or treatment. Nope, just hugs, kisses, and feels all around. Seriously though, those tropes have overstayed their welcome. But hey, that's alright. It turns out that they don't really need said transformation in the first place. And for an added kick to the balls, they find out that what makes them special was with them the entire time. Who freaking Ray? Because it's definitely gonna make up for the possible psychological scars throughout this fiasco. I have only 2 words to say about this episode. Blow me! Nope, wait. A better word would be stop. Stop it, PPG 2016. Stop right now before you cause any more damage in the near future. You are not Steven Universe. You are not Star versus the forces of evil. Hell, you're not My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. You have girl power written all over you. The very concept of you is going to keep you from being able to project any kind of positive, uplifting message without pissing off a huge group of people. But who am I kidding? Nothing's gonna stop you. You have an entire season ahead of you, and maybe 2 or 3 more if you're lucky enough. Nothing's going to stop these reboots, remakes, sequels, and whatevers that are completely unexpected. That a good majority of people didn't even ask for. Nothing's gonna stop this creative starvation that's rampant in any form of entertainment media. Like I said though, it's not like these companies are hurting anyone. Except maybe our wallets. I just saw My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, and that movie is 14 years too late. But the most that it's ever done to me was put me to sleep for half an hour. I didn't have it in me to give a damn about it. It has no point, it has no purpose, no long-term purpose. With PPG 2016, there's definitely a long-term purpose here. What the hell would their marketing campaign be for otherwise? This show will be here to stay. Like a tumor, I'm sure. People who used to support this show have thrown their arms up in surrender and said to their screens, their TV screens and computer monitors, go burn in hell. Make no mistake, I'm on the verge of giving up too. Not quite there yet, but very close. The best that I can do at the moment is to be cautious. Be wary. Or be wary, sorry. I sure as hell won't be following this show for a long time. But when something arises, whether good or bad, I will poke my nose into it. And anyone else with the same sadomasochistic perspective as mine, I advise you to do the same. You don't have to watch the show if you don't feel like it. But if that interest is still somehow inside of you, tread lightly. That's all I gotta say. Ciao for now.